Hello and welcome back. Still painting Pyrenees. We're down to stage 6, just 2 more after this one. Sorry, I started this one and went, oh yeah, wait a minute. I gotta film one of my series of paintings. So this is Bergadeau, riding for a French team, French cyclist. He's managed to get off the front. They came up to a sprint point and he just sort of decided he would sort of go for it. And maybe the peloton thought he was just going to do that and desist, but he's kept going. And it's one of those things. He's not a real threat to the GC or anything, so some teams aren't going to chase. The most likely winner of the sprint, his team has been on the front all day, and they're kind of like, come on, one of you other guys chase. And this is what can happen. This is kind of why Brandon McNulty, he put in a really hard attack, and then behind, they just couldn't decide who was going to go chase him, because if you put in the energy to chase and the other guys just sort of come along and don't help, then you don't have the legs left. You've done all the work, and then they just come around you and take the stage. So you end up giving them the race. So there's always this debate when somebody goes of who's going to chase, and then you're also trying to figure out, well, how do I go without taking you with me? And so there's a lot of that was never a problem when I was racing. I was never in a position. That's not true. I did win a couple of sprints way back when, but I raced amateur. I never was ever good enough on the bike to seriously entertain being a professional cyclist. In fact, my last race I ever did, it was, in one of those positions, setting up really nicely for the sprint, coming into the bell lap, reached down to grab my water bottle, get a sip, make sure I had plenty of energy to finish the stage or the course, and next thing I knew, I was on my back sliding across the road and then off into the dirt on the side of the road, and I was kind of like, you know what? I'm never going to be good enough to do this more than just out here having fun. And these crashes hurt. Of course, they're also expensive when you turn around and have to replace equipment, rebuild wheels, all that kind of stuff. And I just went, you know what? I think I might be a better painter than I am a cyclist. I think I'll just concentrate on that. And I was in school at the time too, so, and studying painting. I just kind of went, yeah, I think we're done here. I mean, I still ride, although right now with this recovery from surgery, and I even checked today, I was like, can I ride? Can I ride? Can I ride? And they were like, no. So just getting out and trying to show this guy off the front, and you can see they're coming down around this course, and there's nobody behind them. I'm just sort of trying to show that with the image. Just all alone, few people standing in town, and he's almost done. It's beginning to look like he's going to be able to pull this one off. I forget what the gap was, maybe a couple of seconds, but he's only got 1.7 kilometers to go. It should not take long. And of course, there's also a high probability this is going to be one of those heartbreakers where he gets almost there, just within feet. I mean, I've seen that happen Tour de France where a rider was 170 kilometers off the front, coming into town, just holding them off and holding them off and holding them off, and then boom, right. That's intrinsically on the finish line, caught by the Peloton. I think it was like 50 feet. I mean, it had to be heartbreaking. In fact, afterwards, I'm sorry, I think it was Delansky. Can't remember the rider's name, but anyway, just sitting on the side of the road, just crying, like, damn, I almost had a torn win. So again, with the stuff, so I've sort of created this movement in the piece by the direction, and I'm going to kind of reinforce that with how I put the color on. So I'm going to do some of the warm colors first, just to sort of get a sense of where I am. Now this is these Mediterranean stucco walls. That populate these beautiful ancient cities. I remember when we were in the Provence area, we went to Nîmes, and it's so many old Roman ruins. The Modern Art Gallery in Nîmes is was an old temple. And it was just the amount of age when you travel through Europe, particularly when you look at it as an American. It's just stunning how much older everything is. So I'm just putting in because he's wearing a white jersey, I'm just putting in sort of the shadows. And I talked earlier in one of the previous videos about using blues for your shadow as a beautiful counterbalance to the sunlight. It really helps communicate that. So just getting a little bit of the indication here. Now I'm going to come back and lay in some more of his kit. And sort of what I loved about this was this directional arrow and the directional bike. Sort of the inspiration for picking this one. That and the idea of this one cyclist riding on a French team, French cyclist on a French team, sort of surprising the whole peloton and getting away. Expression oftentimes is he caught them napping. And then when he was far enough away, then it becomes that debate I was talking about, like who's going to go chase him. And of course now on the front of the peloton, you got a couple different teams, but you also have his team up there just trying to mess up. I mean, nothing untoward, but just sort of getting on the front and sort of soft pedaling or just not putting in the effort required to chase this guy down. So that's yet another team tactic. It's like, pretend you're going to chase and don't. Soft pedaling. So now just putting in some of the details. Buildings behind. Now, that change in light is the TV, when it's on pause, times out. At some point I'll sit down and figure out how I can stop it from doing that. So he's got a little bit of red in his bike as well. Now I'm going to switch, well, I already did the blue cool color, but also like this one directional sign back here, and that kind of is going to give us a little contrapposto and signage direction. Whoops, that is not where I wanted to mix that at. So we have one little tree back here. And then I want to do these. I don't think they're sycamores. I think they're plane trees. They're all along many roads in France. And all we can see is the trunks of them, but there. So we're going to go ahead and use some of this blue again. The shutters on the windows back here closed against the heat. Not that it's particularly hot there right now. All right, so we're just about closing in on this one being done. So I want to make my black. So again, I'm going to take this deep purple tone, see that? And then grab this dark green. It's kind of like a hooker's green or a Payne's or a hooker's green, which is a deep blue green. I got too much of it, so now I'm moving the purple back in there again. And then now, so we've got his socks. I got a little too much, so I'm just going to drag. See, that was too much pigment. So I just wiped some of it off, drag it out, put a little bit of water on there. And of course, I put too much water on there. So I'll think about some of these gray areas first. Pick up more paint again. Now get those. So you can just come back and push it again. And then his helmet. Bars coming down, the handlebars, some black pants over here. All right, then all that's left to do is lay in the road. Actually, not quite true. Do the cement tones, so pick up a little bit of orange on my dirty brush. Too dirty. Then come around and get more water because I want it. So, you've got several ways to manipulate that. So more water will make it appear a lighter color. It's kind of like, so in watercolor, of course, you're not adding white because it's a translucent medium. So if you want things to be less dark, one of your things is more water. So now that same black, and I've got a sort of messy mixing area over here. Don't really like having that green there. But I'm just mixing a little bit of this ultramarine blue into that quote-unquote black to get this roadway, the paving surface. And again, I've got a lot of water here. And then I'm also, now I'm just getting water. I didn't pick up any more paint, as you probably saw. And just keeping that brush moving into the areas that are wet. And dragging that through. Now come back over here, pick up just a little bit more pigment. And so you also notice that one of the ways to convey movement too is direction of your brush stroke. So rather than go this way, I'm taking the brush and pulling the pigment this way. The same direction as the road, the direction the rider is riding. And so the little areas that aren't 100% painted, or the variation in the brush stroke doesn't stop the movement. And yet again, I'm realizing I haven't written the title down yet. I normally do that before I start painting. Of course, I do the title based oftentimes on what someone has said or describing the particular moment in the race, what's going on. I think we'll call it, because we talked about it, He Snuck. I can't remember how to spell that. So we'll call it He's Still Away. And one of the things, and why I tend to sign it early, you can see how the ink is bled a little bit. But that doesn't matter. Oh, this guy's got a really nice goatee, so I'm picking up a little sienna, going into that color I use for the dirt, the stucco. And we're just giving a little hint, you know. There we go. There's a little goatee. Yeah. So there you go. That's today's painting. So do please give me a follow. A thumbs up is always appreciated. If you don't like it, don't give a thumbs up. I don't mind a thumbs down if that's what you think. And then also make sure to check out all of the work at theartofcycling.blogspot.com and check out the rest of my art at gregleach.com. Appreciate you taking the time to watch.